Ladies and gentlemen, I want to read you a couple of articles. CNN, DOJ prosecutors seek testimony from former Vice President Pence. CNBC, DOJ seeking to question Pence in criminal probe of Trump. So, Daily Beast, Justice Department reportedly wants to question Mike Pence. DOJ reportedly seeking answers from Mike Pence. MSNBC. He's refusing to talk to investigators. He has refused for a long time. This is in the news right now, but this is an old story, okay? This is CNBC. DOJ seeking to question Pence in criminal probe of Trump trying to stay in White House, report says. Criminal probe of Trump. It has been 2 years. What are you probing? What are you investigating? Okay? It's not like there's like 150 suspicious activity reports with Hunter and money funneled to Joe. Like, you have money flow, basically a system of graft, potential bribery, where you're giving hundreds of millions of dollars to shell corporations or fly-by-night businesses set up by Hunter, and then you have emails where there's the business arrangements and where corporations are saying, how can you use your influence on our company's behalf? That's almost verbatim. That's clear graft, felonies. That's a clear felony. The emails, the money flow, like you can see there is a system where people are giving money to influence U.S. foreign policy, and Joe forces out a prosecutor. And then they say, well, you can't prove that. You can't prove anything with Trump that you've accused him of because there's no evidence. You're investigating forever. You can prove that forcing out a prosecutor when Hunter is in that corporation getting a million or so a year has to do with an email that says, please use your influence on our company's behalf. Then they say, oh, the timeline doesn't add up. The timeline doesn't add up to Democrats because Democrats have their own view of what criminals will do. What people like, it's so funny too because they do the same thing like with the Uranium One issue. They're like, oh, well, the $100 million to the foundation that took place before the transfer of that, we'll say commodity to, it's like, what? It doesn't really matter. You have a major transaction where you're dealing with people giving money to former U.S. government officials or current government officials. What is there not to understand? It is an obvious graft machine. But see, that's not the way media and Democrats work. What they don't like is Trump. So anything that happens with Trump, oh my God, it's the end of the world. He wanted to overthrow the U.S. government. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you understand? Trump wanted to overthrow the United States government. He worked with the Kremlin. Nobody believes lies more than Democrats. Shutting down the U.S. economy was very good. Trump is a Kremlin operative. You can list all the absurd things Democrats believe. It's like an endless list of things that are not true, categorically, objectively not true, and absurd leaps of logic. And very smart people look at Trump like, the people who really have a problem with Trump can't really name a specific issue with his policies. It's always his personality. So it comes down to, well, you know what? Hit the sensibilities. They just don't like him. At the end of the day, the people who don't like Trump, they just don't like him, and they don't want to be with anyone who likes him. And so that's why you have morally superior liberal Democrats, highly educated liberal Democrats who disown friends and family. Because they can't really refute that he had a great economy. He presided over a great economy. His policies, whether you want to say deregulation or tax cuts, or actually allowing the oil and gas industry to prosper in the United States of America, helped the U.S. economy. If you're a socialist or this far-left person, you should love Trump. Every group, every demographic group, income level group did better under Trump. Everyone. And then they spin it to, the billionaires made out big. The billionaires always make out. The The billionaires are rich when times are bad, and they're rich when times are great. The problem is Bernie Sanders, for example, doesn't understand. Real wages up 1.1%. Bernie said that was a bad thing with Trump. They're down 8.5% according to the Dallas Fed. We still haven't heard Bernie Sanders condemn Biden. So it's like a machine. It's like a public relations machine. But we had a great economy. We had a great foreign policy. There was an invasion under Biden's watch. And you have a situation where they're investigating for public relations purposes. They're not investigating, okay? They're not investigating to find anything. Pointing out a crime, finding an actual criminal act with Trump was not difficult to do, okay? It's not like there are some investigations, for example, that take a long time, but there was a crime that took place. And you either have to, like there's fingerprints, there's text messages, like, you know, somebody lost their life. There's a Hollywood actor almost certainly about to be charged soon, very likely according to reports. But you have an atrocity or something taking place. Here, you have supporters of President Trump who lost their lives. So the majority of the people who lost their life, 4 out of 5, were supporters of President Trump. And one person lost his life the day after, or a couple days after. But the point is, one woman unarmed. But the left doesn't care about that. Democrats don't care about that. They do. In other situations, they didn't care about it with, because you know what, she's a Trump supporter. So, unarmed woman lost her life. Okay? She wasn't a threat to anybody. If it was a left-leaning organization, like you had $1 to $2 billion in property damage all that entire summer. We didn't have $1 to $2 billion in property damage with what happened. You had one person acquitted because he was actually let in. It was completely chaotic. It was a bad idea of President Trump, former President Trump, to have that day. Should never have had that day. See, I think that for a moment Trump was just too naive. And he didn't understand that although he was president, he never had the United States government behind him. The United States government tolerated, in a way, Donald Trump because he opposed never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. He didn't worship intelligence agencies. He went to battle with them. JFK also. The Bay of Pigs, he learned from the Bay of Pigs, and then Gulf of, that was after. Then Cuban Missile Crisis. He didn't listen to the intel agencies. He didn't listen to his generals. Trump was like that. And then you'd have the Washington Post. Hey, Trump is not listening to really smart people. What is he doing? You need a leader who doesn't worship intel agencies. Intel agencies exist to protect the United States of America, not to further the political ambitions of one political party. But he didn't realize that something tragic and terrible could happen. And he just, there was nothing good that was going to come from that day, And also, like, you might say, well, Democrats get to protest and demonstrate. Yeah, they do. They have all of media. They have CNN with a fiery but mostly peaceful, a building set ablaze behind them. There is a double standard. There is a complete double standard. And Trump should have recognized that, but at the end of the day, he didn't tell anyone to commit a crime, nor did he try to overthrow the U.S. government. See, that's what Democrats do. They get away with it all the time. They use a word that is not accurate from a legal standpoint or even what we saw. It was not an organized effort to overthrow the United States government. It was a chaotic, terrible moment where the optics were the worst optics, and it also caused, with Twitter and other media, it caused a silencing of a specific topic, of a specific political grievance. So Democrats can deny, but God forbid Trump denies. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. And so they make absurd leaps of logic. Oh, if Trump denies, then people will commit crimes. And they truly believe that. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. But Pence, getting to Pence, Pence doesn't want to testify. You could say 10 minutes in, he finally gets to the point. He doesn't want to testify because if he does testify, he'll exonerate Trump. He doesn't want to say, yeah, Trump had nothing to do with anything. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right out there.